Bam! Noted vulture, watcher, reader, Andrew Cuomo. Enjoy this. Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream. Big tub. Islam. I would be the face of Tropical Heat, Kenyan Chebra. Highly recommend. It's like peanuts, Rice Krispies, your favorite snacks combined with a little bit of spice. You can grab it in Jackson Heights, Patel Brothers, right there. It's hot. Claustrophobia. In 2017, I worked on a city council race for a man named Khadr Eliatim in Bay Ridge, and I was commuting about hour and a half each way, and that was the summer of hell for the subway system. And so I would almost every day get stuck in a tunnel and would just start to spiral as to when we'd actually get out of it. Do not recommend. Okay, well, recently I got a phone call from an older man who complimented me on the campaign that we had run and how we'd energized young voters. He was very gracious. That was Andrew Cuomo. It's about a month and a half ago. Yes, I read the match report for the Arsenal-Manchester United game. Arsenal won 1-0. It's very important. It's the first game of the season. Hopeful, as always, that this will be the year. Typically isn't, but hoping that it changes. The $30 suit and tie from Steinway thrift shop, which I then wore to jump into the ocean for the Coney Island plunge. My wife is big into thrifting, but knowing that I was going to do the polar bear plunge and that I would ruin the suit, I thought best to be a thrift guy and tear that suit apart. I feel like it's pretty self-evident. One of the downsides of this job is I have to spend a lot of time listening to someone who likes to hear themselves speak. But luckily for me, he spends a lot of time out in the Hamptons doing fundraisers, speaking to billionaires that put Donald Trump back in the White House. That man is Andrew Cuomo. The original Absolute Bagels. It's a big part of my childhood. A lot of days after middle school of having my bagel and my Sun Pulp Tropicana, sitting with my friends at Absolute Bagels. And I think it's the similar thing for a lot of New Yorkers, not necessarily for that exact place, but just an institution that they grew up with that has come and gone. And it doesn't actually have to be that way across New York City, where so much of what we love becomes a memory from the past. Famously, my parents. I'm very lucky that if I were to lose my home or my ability to earn, that I would be able to turn to them. And I also know that that's not the case for many New Yorkers. And it isn't the way for a city to run, that so many could just be one emergency away from losing the stability that they've built up over many years. And yet it's a reflection of living in the most expensive city in the United States, where so many are left to struggle on their own. You know, before I was an assembly member, I was a foreclosure prevention housing counselor. I worked with low to moderate income homeowners across Queens, and I was struck by how many of my clients had the exact kind of job that we had been told would create that life of stability, and how they were still just one thing away from losing that. You know, one trip to the ER, one family emergency where someone needed their help, and then it was as if they were on the precipice of losing everything. And these were for people who were the pictures themselves of success, and yet that was how close they had to live to the edge. Okay, how to make it in America. I'd want to be a brand ambassador for Rasta Monster. I just loved that show. Thought it should have been renewed. Love Luis Guzman. I watched a little bit of Love Island USA. That was a good time. I didn't quite finish it. It's a lot of episodes, but enjoyed it. I mean, a Maya Papaya, New York City resident. I tend to always make chai in the morning regardless of whether I have time to drink the chai. And then I feel this sadness of having just finished making it and knowing throughout the whole process that I had to leave immediately at that point. That's painful. It would be Fiorello LaGuardia. I think that he was the greatest mayor in New York City's history, and he faced similar crises that we do today, the crisis of anti-immigrant animus and the denial of dignity for working class New Yorkers, and he reshaped what we thought was possible, and did so with a real sense of what the city could be as opposed to just what it was. My mom's determination. She has often spoken to me about the importance of having, as an artist, the skin of an elephant. And just to look at how she has shown that over so many years, it's always quite inspiring and also a little jealousy-inducing. So for almost every single day of my life, it's been the color that it is. And then there was one day in 8th grade where I spray painted my hair the colors of the Ugandan flag. This is a trick question. I would not leave New York City. The best place in the world. If you want to travel the world, you can just go to somewhere new across the 5 boroughs. Why go to Sri Lanka when you can go to Staten Island and have Sri Lankan food? That money can't always buy you an election. And we just learned that in the Democratic primary. Bam! Noted vulture, watcher, reader, Andrew Cuomo. Enjoy this. Okay, so this morning I did manage to finish the chai. Chai, my 2 McVitie's Digestives biscuits. That is the classic beginning. The bootleg merch that I saw yesterday, a man came up to me with a t-shirt that said, "It's a Mamdani ting." He said he had previously only sold 1 of those, so I was happy to be his second customer. Eric Adams made this video using the Michael Bay Linkin Park meme structure, which is chef's kiss incredible. If you haven't seen it, it's a great video. It starts off with POV, you're the mayor, and then it's looking at him. So that's not POV, but it gets better and better from there. If you haven't seen it, I would say it's a top five video from the campaign so far. I went home that night and I just played What I've Done on repeat for a little while. Anyone here a Linkin Park fan? Meteora? Hybrid Theory? Not funny to me. Sid Rosenberg calling me an animal on Fox News. Went away. It was when my friend Nikhil shaves his beard. We love the stubble, you should keep it. Well, I think everyone should be paid a living wage so that they can actually afford to live off of what they're paid. I'll be honest with you, I name dropped 50 Cent in a Breakfast Club interview. I was talking about my tax policies and how I think the top 1% of New Yorkers who make $1 million or more should pay an extra 2% in income taxes. And I knew that he hates that as a tax policy. He's talked a lot about policies he likes. And then he put out this statement where he was like, "I'm gonna offer Zohran Mamdani this much money and a first class ticket out of New York City." It was like $258,000. It's like, this is such a specific amount. And that's when I learned how much money the mayor makes. This is a pretty solid amount of money. Premature baldness. I think it'll take me down. I saw some friends last night, they were like, "You know what I saw that's horrified me?" And I was like, "What?" And then they just zoomed in on a photo of the back of my head. It's like, thanks, guys. I recently, once again, regretted wearing an apron without a shirt underneath for a music video that I made. It's a sincere regret. The halal card is still there in Jackson Heights if you want to go see it.